5 chapter rule. This is the season 2, and this will be the first episode, and it is Sandland. So the brief story summary of this one is: in the far future, war has destroyed the entire Earth, leaving only a barren wasteland called Sandland, where the supply of water is controlled by the greedy king. In search of a long-lost way, Sheriff Rao asked the king of the demons for help, got the king's son Beelzebub and his assistant Faith. Together, the unlikely trio sets off across the desert, facing dragons, bandits, and the deadliest foe of them all, the king's army itself. So the actual plot for what we see in the 5 chapters, I mean, unsurprisingly, demons and humans don't particularly like each other. No surprise there. Although I wouldn't really say they hate, just more of like mutual distrust of each other. And it's just from what I gather, it's just a journey tale, really. Just a basic, we're going to go from point A to point B, and it's stories about the journey, I guess. Not much, in my opinion, is really say about the story in this
Right,
first
well,
5 chapters.
it starts with the demon guys stealing water, which apparently they do. And they steal it from a truck that...
Belongs to the king.
Yeah, apparently a giant-ass centaur can sneak up on a truck which has mirrors and could see the centaur, but that's fine. And then they steal the water from the truck. It states, demons are bulletproof. Except...
Well, he still gets hurt by him. He's not entirely bulletproof.
It's like a scratch, if that. It barely even registers on him.
Hmm.
And then it states, holy water works, but only on certain demons.
Only in Western demons. So when the guy pulls out the holy water, the Japanese demon jumps in to block it because it doesn't work on him. Of course.
And then they state the only reason that... Well, they can wipe out humanity whenever they want. They state that. And they state the only reason that they don't and just steal all the water to make their people better is because it'd be boring without humanity. Is the only reason.
I bet that's more of a cop-out excuse by like, oh yeah, of course, we could easily win, but we're not going to.
I mean, they could have. They easily can.
Mm.
And then I've put... actually, I'll just go through the plot bits first. Some general guy finds the king of the demons. Apparently, that's a well-known place. They could just walk up to the king of demons. It's fine. And they want to find a mystic spring, which only this guy knows exists somehow.
Well, no, it's a myth. I think it was a mythology, but he found evidence to prove that it's real.
Yeah, but then you'd have thought if he wanted to save some of his people, he could just tell someone, and then he'd get...
What it makes clear is that the king actually is controlling the hidden spring and has been making it seem like a mythology, so people don't realize that's where he's getting the water from. So the king actually has the only working water source.
Well, it says that in chapter 4, but we can't say for certain that it is this mysterious spring. Because for all I know, I haven't read more. It might just get to the end of, and then that spring dies, and then that spring gets destroyed, and then they just mysteriously find upon a super duper, even more secret spring.
Don't know. There's only 14 chapters on this series, so.
And then I've got they basically go on an adventure, but the truck that they go in can only fit 2 people. That's why the prince and his thief assistant go with him. And then they take the prince with him to stop or to make it easier to go there to stop, fighting against creatures. And then within 2 panels, they get attacked by a dragon and their thing's destroyed. Literally 2 panels.
And they get their tank, which is, if you've seen the trailer for the game, is the main staple, I guess, of the series, is this tank.
Right, so I had a bit of suspension of disbelief in this, and then the old man dresses as Santa, disappears for 2 panels, comes back and says, "You know that city over there? I've just stole all their water and food and hid it somewhere." That's not possible.
It's Santa, he can do everything.
You cannot steal a whole city's water and food without anyone noticing you've done so.
Also, I did find it funny that he's apparently played the Santa role many a time. Because he had the outfit on prep.
Yeah, then
he couldn't bring much with him, but he brought the Santa's outfit.
And then they steal a tank and fill it with the food and water that they stole, which was basically none. Because it was like 4 boxes.
Yeah, I guess the whole one of the plot is about an alien race which used to exist, and they were inventing technology to create water.
Yeah, that's stated in chapter 5 right at the end.
Lied to the army and said, "Oh yeah, they're building a super weapon." So all the soldiers went and wiped them out, thinking that they were destroying a super weapon. But they weren't destroying a water supply. Obviously, we're kind of spoiling all the plot here, but it's very old manga.
It's only that's the first 5 chapters.
Yeah,
it's at the end of chapter 5. We can skip up to chapter 5. It's fine.
I know. I try to be vague sometimes, but yeah, I mean it's a very old manga.
So then they just go on an adventure to go to this mysterious spring.
Yeah, as plots go, it's not the most exhilarating, is it?
Well, I'll just go through a bit of my points I found, because this is the plot section, and then we'll go into more of that sort of stuff. So, why wouldn't the demons know about a mystic spring if they're 2,500 years old? What else we got? They said that they're going to split the spring between him and the humans. How do you split a spring?
I think it means that they both get water from it, not.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
Why is the king not serious about stopping people stealing his water if he's obsessed with his money as he is?
Well, he did. He armed his guards with weapons,
which didn't work.
Well,
and he has. When they steal the water from that truck, there is one person.
Who?
There's one person there who has a gun or whatever. If you're gonna, if you're gonna be transporting water and stealing as much money as you want, like as greedy as this guy is, you'd have more than one person.
He could be that greedy that he spends so much money on himself that he doesn't use the resources on his own people, even the ones who are actually aiding him in getting the money. I've seen that level of stupidity.
If he's as much as a tyrant as he is, he'd see that his losses are coming from people stealing his stuff, and he'd stop people stealing his stuff.
It depends on how much. I mean, they stole a few cartons of water. It's literally not the a drop in the ocean compared to probably all the water they've got. But
if they can make holy water, why can't they just turn the spring into holy water?
It's not. That's not how that works. But yeah,
it could be.
You mean what they could do is when they're loading the water up into tanks, maybe they could bless the water before sending it on its way, so if any demon intercepts it, they'll be buggered. But then again, as we already pointed out, it only works on some demons.
Yeah,
so
but then it's still something. If they could bottle it.
Yeah.
But this is an Akira Toriyama thing. It's supposed to be goofy. It's fine. Right, so I've spoke a lot. You can do. What do you think, then?
I've just said it's a basic plot, really. My most of my points I've got about characters and whatnot, rather than the plot. It's just very straightforward. So have you got finished with everything for your plot part?
Yeah, I'm good.
So we'll start with the first, the I guess technically, well, the front cover guy essentially, Beelzebub. Uh, he seems to me be the typical headstrong protagonist who has a good heart.
You mean he's Goku?
Um, yeah, I mean, he's Goku, he's Naruto, he's Luffy, it's all these kind of characters. Uh, Beals is also a massive gamer, so much that he agrees to go on a dangerous quest for PlayStation 6 and Dragon Quest 13, which is quite funny because I think Dragon Quest 12 comes out so next year, and Dragon Quest 13 is planned for PS6. So he actually predicted that incredibly well. Um, and Beals just seems to have his fighting style is just like tail whips and Jigglypuff slaps, basically, which is funny but a little boring. Um, maybe he has a bit more advanced fighting later on. Maybe we get to. I'm gonna guess that partway through the series, after Chapter 5, he goes Super Saiyan or something like that.
He does absorb the dark rays of the moon at the end of chapter 5.
Yeah, so I'm assuming he probably does like a Super Saiyan kind of thing because, again, as we pointed out, it's for the same people, same guys, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and all that lot. It's going to have similar echoes, I guess, with the characters. Uh, what do you think of Beezle?
He's a bit annoying, to be fair. I
Yeah.
just like he states that he doesn't kill people. I'm like, yeah, you can still take over a city without killing people.
Mm.
He just likes to do pranks, and then he's like, oh, once I didn't brush my teeth twice.
Ooh, very evil. Yes.
It's not my kind of humor, but as far as a character goes, he's kind of bland.
Yeah, very much early Naruto vibes.
Yeah, he's just prankster, really.
Yeah, again, very much. That's what I meant by early Naruto vibes.
But oddly,
Yeah.
no one seems to think he's like a threat or anything. Like he's the son of a demon king, and
If
he
he,
just.
unless someone told you that and you just saw him, you wouldn't really think he's a threat. Let's be.
I mean, if he keeps stealing stuff, you'd probably do something about it. But it's like nothing's a threat to him to the extent that he can act this way. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's just very laid back, I guess, in many ways. So I guess our protagonist is Sheriff Rao. He's a good
That was
man
it. I called him a
who,
general earlier. He's a sheriff.
yeah, he's a sheriff. He used to be like a soldier, but he was never a general. Yeah. He's a good man who wants to get free water for the people. He's strong enough in his conviction that even the demon can immediately believes he's trustworthy, which I found interesting. He also seems to be quite knowledgeable about the desert. He's been there for a long time. He's learned how to survive. I actually like the fact that he fights using tonfas. We don't really see them being used in manga very often, or media in general. And I guess Rao has been a former soldier, and the situation of the past where they kill those innocent people under false orders, and
Yeah,
then
he was one of the. He led that apparently.
yeah, and they also also soldiers because what the soldiers realizing partway through, they actually had given these aliens the certain stuff equipment for their fins, and they made them highly explosive. So when the soldiers attacked, the whole place just went nuclear, essentially wiping out pretty much all the soldiers. I believe Rao is believed to be dead by the king because all the soldiers were supposed to be wiped out.
There's no way
So
he would have got away with what he Well, just living to this extent if the king knew he was alive.
Yeah, he's got scars basically, both physically and mentally, of his past. But I think he's an all right character. He's got some interesting aspects. Like I said, I love the fact that he fights with tonfas. I mean, can you think of another character who fights with tonfas?
I can think of a few off the top of my head, but not
It's not often, is it?
not
Really?
often. No, he
The
seems
one
to
I
be
can think of is like Ten, but she only uses tonfas in the video games, not in the actual manga or
the
anime.
Eminence and Shadow protagonist does.
Ah, but it's still unusual. It's still a nice rarity, so it's nice to see.
Right,
I
he
do
is.
like how the
I'm going to go by standard terms. He is the straight man, the one who
mm,
is who they bounce comedic events off.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know the strip manager.
I'm just in case people watching
Yeah.
don't know what the term
Oh
straight man
god.
is.
They might. Oh, just
Yeah,
I'll probably get his terminology twisted in the future, but yeah.
yeah, it's the one
Um,
who jokes are they're usually at the butt of the jokes, and they're usually very serious.
Apparently he hasn't been. He wasn't much the butt though in these ones because I think they actually had quite
Yeah,
a bit of respect for him. The demons, they respect his conviction and honesty, natural, well, fighting talent. To
but
be
he's
fair.
also the character who has to explain. He is the window of the viewer. He's the
Mm,
one who people have to ask questions to, and he has to ask the questions that the viewer needs to know the answers to. Basically,
true.
like he can't know everything because if he did, nothing would get explained to the viewer. So yeah, he's an all right character, I suppose. He actually has
We've
a
had
personality.
we've had worse protagonists. Um, guess the other real character that worth talking about, I guess, is Sheaf. He's like the old wise demon. Although he's a bit of a grump, doesn't really want to come on the mission. He also acts like a big kid at times. So it's a bit like a weird like mix between old man and a big child. Uh, I guess to continue, we've already as I made a note of this. We already said during the film, like, the absurdity of the manga that his main technique of looting humans is to be Santa because just because just why was that thing?
It also states that he has some sort of magic ability to summon people as well.
Yeah, they haven't really at this point though, haven't really touched on it much, did they?
They haven't brought up the magic at all, which was why it was odd. It's an odd thing that they would even bring it up at all. They've got like,
Any other character?
hmm?
Sorry, go on.
No, it's like
Any other
there's the
characters? One of them.
centaur guy, but they could have used later on. He would have been very useful in
He's
navigating the desert.
just a brief passing thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but he would have been amazingly useful.
Well, no one else wanted to go on the mission, did they?
It's not that. It's just that the car could only fit two people, but they wouldn't need to if they was taking the centaur guy.
Hmm. That's another mouth to feed, isn't
And
it?
how does humanity exist when dragons can just wipe out their whole city and they've got no to fight them with?
Well, because of the dragon, depends whether the dragon really goes towards the cities, very much.
It's just like even if they did, they've got tanks, sure, but that's not going to hurt a dragon.
Uh, we don't know yet. Might be, maybe not. Uh, so art-wise, per series, it's very typical of Toriyama's art style. The characters have a reasonable amount of detail. Their faces express their feelings well. The backgrounds actually have a good level of detail. And as always, Toriyama is just a good all-rounder when it comes to drawing, really. You can always tell it's one of his pieces. You're personally not a fan of his art style, though, are you?
No, I'm really not. It's not my thing. I'm not going to begrudge anybody for enjoying it. It's just this art style is not my thing.
Hmm. I'm not. I'm not. I'm middle ground, really. I'm not bothered either way. Um. Anything else you want to point out about art, or we'll just move straight into design?
No, the art's just standard what Toriyama is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got the standard Dragon Ball Z style backgrounds, and apart from that, it just goes into swoosh lines and motion lines.
Sorry. Just you saying swoosh lines.
I'm looking at it here. He's swung his Tomfort, and it says swoosh. It's right there.
Oh, I know. There's something about it
Because when it's
tickled me.
doing that, it doesn't have actual background. Then it's just white.
Yeah, it's a zoom in action thing. It's quite common in manga.
But he only seems to do backgrounds when there's no plot happening. It's like when they're talking, there's absolutely no backgrounds at all. I'm just looking at some images here. So he does like landscapes, but then there's never anything in the sky.
Hmm.
So
I mean,
apart, yeah. So
that's
apart from
quite common
motion
to be fair.
lines, it doesn't. That's just standard Toriyama artwork, though. It's like he got used to Dragon Ball Z's level of fighting where he doesn't need to do it, and sometimes he might just forget and not put it in. Maybe.
Well, didn't Toriyama used to do quite a lot of weekly chapters, didn't there?
Yeah, he's got like
Which
tons of
you don't
assistants, I
have much
believe, as
time
well.
then, do you?
Yeah.
I would never want to do a weekly series. Good God.
Like, I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised if a lot of his students or assistants did a big hand in this as well.
maybe not. This is an old one, remember? This is
2000s, is it?
very early 2000s. I mean, the first monthly Sherman Jump that it appeared in um, was when Yu-Gi-Oh was still on like its first set, I think.
97 ish.
No, Yu-Gi-Oh's not that old, is it? Surely.
Doesn't it not say at the bottom of all cards that it's 1997 Akira Toriyama? Not Akira Toriyama.
That's the manga though, not the cards.
It's around 2000s anyway. Right, so what's the next section? Design.
The first monthly Sherman Jump was 2003, January 2003. So probably came out in Japan like 2001.
Yeah. Right, so design is the next one.
Yeah, so Beelzebub is kind of just like a little red gremlin with a little bit of clothes on. Nothing special. I do like the goggles, fits the environment, I guess, but the outfit, I guess, does fit someone living in a hot environment like a desert who doesn't have to worry about sunburn, I guess. But it's not much to say too much about his design, in my opinion. Really, what do you think?
I just don't like his design at all.
Hmm.
I'm not going to go to hate, but it's just not what I look at or think of when I see protagonists. But that's Toriyama's style. It also states he's 2,500 years old and still looks 12.
Well, if you're being generous.
Yeah, but even by that logic, he'd have to age another, in what, 7,000 years to look like an adult or something.
Maybe it's one of those things where they keep them stay age as quickly as they want to.
That is called plot convenience.
When does a manga have plot convenience?
This one, all the time.
So I guess Sheriff Rao outfit looks a bit like a park ranger, if you ask me. Um, rather than what I would expect of like a sheriff of a desert area, I guess. You know, it doesn't look like a western sheriff from back in the days, which would be more fitting probably. Although I do like the little nods to like his army past, with the epaulets and stuff on his shoulders, which had to disguise yourself as, you know, I'm not, no one knows that I'm still alive as a soldier, but I'm still wearing my army epaulets.
Or like when he takes over the tank, and then an airship appears, and the only way that he decides to disguise himself is just to put on a helmet, and the people in the airship go, "Oh, that's clearly one of our people who's not wearing the uniform."
Well, they can't see the rest of him though, could they, at that point?
He was half
Even with
out
his heavy
of the
stuff.
tank.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how easily people can be fooled.
It's fine. I need to put a lot of suspension of disbelief in this series.
That can't be too hard. You like One Piece.
Yeah, One Piece is great. Don't mock One Piece.
Chief's design is it's an old guy in a medieval tunic. What else can I say about it,
No,
really?
he's only in a medieval tunic for 2 chapters, then he's just in a Santa outfit.
Yeah, but he's not in. He does come out of something. So.
Nope, he's still in it until chapter 5. I don't know
Uh,
why. You'd think
for the
it'd be really
jokes.
warm, but
For the jokes. The jokes. Yes. Um,
I get it.
Enemy.
Comedy is subjective. It's fine. It's just that I'm not a fan of this style of comedy.
Hmm. So anyways,
Yes.
other than the basic soldiers, we do early on get introduced to the giant centipede dragon, which I'll give him this. It's unique for dragon design. I've never seen a giant centipede dragon before. Um, Found that fascinating. And I also found it funny that the bandits are Kiss cosplayers. If you know the band Kiss, don't know why they're cosplaying the band. I don't know if it's a reference at some point in Japan at some. I don't have an idea. I don't know why. Maybe he was trying to go for Mad Max, but end up going towards a metal band.
I think it's just his
don't
art
know.
style. He might have been going for Mad Max. It's just his art style makes them look odd.
But the makeup is very Kiss, though.
It's very Dragon Ball.
Yeah. What do you think of the centipede dragon?
It's apparently strong enough that they can't mess with it and is never brought up again.
Well, admittedly, he only had a handgun. I don't think a handgun's going to do much against that.
Nothing will. Which was odd that they brought the demon to come with them in the first place, and the first thing that they go to is an S tier threat.
I didn't mean to. It just happened to be in the area.
I think everybody in the area would know if that was in the area.
Well, unless they're all dead. Um, I guess the other design bit to talk about is the tank, because it's going to be quite a key point of the series. It's a bit of like a steampunky thing. It also has like a bit of an appearance, but reminds me of the Katarina armor from Dark Souls, that kind of bulky, bulgy, spheric aspect. And then for some reason, the tank hatches make it look like a duck for some reason. And I mean, if I do continue reading this, I will cringe hard if they call it the Quackinator later. I really will cringe hard with it, but I'm expecting that kind of joke. Ugh.
I mean, I will have
Oh,
this on screen, but for the people who would just be listening to it and not looking at the screen, it is the Dragon Ball Z capsule with tires, with
and then it
treads.
looks like a duck for some reason. I don't understand why the tank is a duck.
I
Especially in a desert. Is
I
that supposed
can't
to be
even
part of the
describe that
humor?
as a tank.
Hmm?
I wouldn't even describe that as a tank.
Armored vehicle. Um, I, I'm guessing that might be part of the joke. Is there's a duck in the desert? Ha ha ha! No water. No, on the search for water, like a duck would go and search for water. I'm guessing that's supposed to be a joke.
It won't put it past Toriyama.
No, it's a very inoffensive manga. Really, this is. It's a kids manga. Let's be fair. It's a kids manga.
I don't know when it came out in comparison to things like Blue Dragon and Dragon Quest, but it feels like the department went up to him and went, well, "You've got 20 chapters or so. Can you just draw something?"
But it was doing Dragon Ball Z at the same time as this. Maybe he wanted a break or something and wanted to do something different, which I could understand. I guess one thing I'll mention here a little bit is also found it funny that the King of Demons Satan is literally I mean exact guy from Dragon Ball Z, you know, who won Majin Buu.
Yeah, Dabura.
Yeah, who gets
Yeah,
immediately killed essentially.
he does look like him.
It's a splitting. I mean, other than the size, it is literally him.
I saw a lot of comments of people trying to connect this to the Dragon Ball universe, and I'm just like, stop. Stop.
That might be part of the reason why. It's just similar art style with certain themes which cross over, I guess. Would we read more is a good question, I think. I might do just because it's only 14 chapters. I might at some point decide to read the rest of it for the sake of I read it. Especially if I see um things about, you know, let's say I see early previews and people hands on with the game say, "Oh, it's quite a good game," then maybe I might finish off the manga just to make my decision. Like, is it got a good enough aspects at certain points in the story which would make good gameplay, or will it be one of those games where it starts off very good and then just ends? But I think that's probably the only reason I'll probably pick up the rest of this, and I'm guessing you won't pick it up.
It didn't grab me. It's also, as I was saying before, like certain series I know won't grab me because it's the comedy aspect. And I think this is less into the serious reality stuff and more into comedy. And since
Yeah,
the
I guess
comedy hasn't grabbed me, I don't think it. I just wouldn't finish it, I don't think.
the worst bit is when it's a comedy series, is pretty much all humor is generally lost in translation because the wordplay is different. You know, like for example, quite a lot of Japanese humor is based on you saying a word that sounds
Wordplay,
similar
yeah.
similar to another word, and it's that people are getting confused about the thing. Like I remember some of the Naruto filler episodes had that, and it made no sense in English because the words didn't sound similar in English.
I'm also aware that this is not basically made for my age demographic.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
all.
kids.
Like, if I'd have
It's
potentially, if I'd have read it when it came out, I may have been more into it. But just right now, it's not my thing.
yeah, 20 years ago. Oh wow, when it's 20 years ago was when it was in English.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's got like, it's going to sound weird, but like, it's got nothing I can sink my teeth into and think, oh, what's going to happen next chapter? It's just there.
Yeah, it's simple and therefore you're in especially this day and age where we've got so much access to manga. Obviously
Like,
back then you wouldn't have had much manga access to. So I remember people many years ago because we only had scraps of anime
yeah.
and manga. You just praise. I mean, what was those certain ones which had horrendous English dubbing, but back then it was all you could get. So you praised the scraps and the crumbs that you got.
But
But
even
now
like,
you have access to everything.
but
So
even
you
back then, like, you know what I mean? Like, if I had a choice between reading this and say if Dragon Ball came out at the same time, I'd just read Dragon Ball.
probably. But at the same time, I wouldn't be able to afford very much. So I probably would have read this. So I think I only I think I got the first ever issue a month ago, and then I think the next one I got was quite some time later. so I only saw like the first bit of the first chapter, and that was it.
Yeah, it's got no for me to sink my teeth into, so I probably wouldn't finish it.
Well, I guess
But if we
that's
did do episodes, for example, later on of finished things and reviewing the whole thing, it is quick enough I could, I suppose.
Or if we ever want to do a series on video game adaptations of mangas
I
and
just play Blue
anime.
Dragon.
That wasn't originally a manga. I think the manga came out afterwards.
I can't remember, but I would just play that. That's
Yeah, the manga I think was a promotional thing for the game. I think the manga is so it's not an adaptation in what I'm saying.
that is like one of the only Toriyama things I do enjoy, and I don't remember why. It's fine.
It was a fairly competent anime RPG at the time, to be fair.
It did have some cool mechanics too.
Yeah.
Right, so
Problem
you
is if we did the video game adaptation series, just imagine how many Naruto games we'd have to do. Oh god.
yeah, there is
Like,
that. Right, so
there is a
you'd
bit.
probably read it again. I wouldn't.
I
Right,
may read it. I may finish it just 'cause it's short.
so we had a new segment. What out of 10 would you give the first 5 chapters?
I hate giving arbitrary scores because I never know.
Well, we don't have to. It's fine.
No, I'm not good with arbitrary scores. I really aren't. I
Yeah,
like
that's
to
cool
just
then.
like whenever I read reviews, I don't care about the actual number they give it. I care about what they've got to say on it.
Well, we've discussed the whole basically plot of the first 5. So if people find that interesting to them from what we've said, they can read it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean we've got some images as well, so you can see some imagery. It's not. I think this is one of our episodes where there's not too much to say about it.
Not too much to
There's
say
gonna
about it, but
be.
we're at 38 minutes.
All right then. I think that might be a good place to end then.
Yeah.
On to the next episode. So until next time, goodbye.